So I have been doing this classical music print and transcription project, and this project goes all the way back to 2012 when I started using MuseScore. I didn't compose much music back then. Instead, I used MuseScore to input the classical music that I loved listening to. This was primarily for score study and getting familiar with MuseScore and how it works, and it's how I got to understand and appreciate Beethoven's music, like his Fifth Symphony. But then, as is very natural for me, a little bit of score study snowballed into a massive project. That project? Transcribing the complete works of well-known classical music composers. Think Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Chopin, those guys. I had started the project several times and then not finished it because I lost interest. This was partly because at the time I could only put 5 scores up publicly on MuseScore.com. And when that changed to unlimited uploads with a free account, I was more focused on composing than on this transcription project. But then, MuseScore 4 came along, and my tradition has been to test out new major versions of MuseScore with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. So of course, I had to transcribe the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth to abide by that tradition. And what do you know? My interest in that long-term project of transcribing the complete works of Beethoven and other composers got reignited. As you can imagine, a project of such a massive scale needs some organization. My default way of organizing stuff on my computer is folders inside folders. As you can see here, the first level of organization is the era. And then we got the composer's last name. Now this is to keep relatives with the same last name in the same folder. So all of the Bach family is in one folder. All of the Strauss family is in one folder. All of the Mozart family is in one folder. And then here we've got composers' full names. Here are the 3 members of the Mozart family that were composers. And then the next level down is the genres/genre types. Now, some of these are the full genre, like, say, this canons folder. But others they break down even further. Others break down even further, like the sonatas folder, which breaks down into subtypes of sonatas. And then after that is the score level. Of course, putting composers into eras is not always an easy thing to do. There are plenty of composers that straddle the border between eras. And because of that, I have to make some sacrifices. Take, for example, Beethoven and Schubert. They straddle the border between the classical era and the Romantic era. Now, I could have made a transitional folder to go along with these other era folders, but then I would have to add in that folder Renaissance Baroque transition, Baroque classical transition, classical romantic transition, and it just seemed to add one more level than necessary. So instead, being a bit disingenuous, but I decided to put the composer into a single era. So like Beethoven here is in the classical era because I didn't want to exclude early period Beethoven by putting him in the Romantic era folder. And Beethoven is also thought by a lot of people to be part of the classical era trifecta alongside Mozart and Haydn. And I put Schubert in the Romantic era folder because you can hear more Romantic era elements in his earlier works.